I gotta have as many IPAs as possible during these things.
Hey. Okay, now we're live. Don't say anything bad now.
Matt, don't say anything, Matt.
Let's see if some people hop in here. What kind of beer are you drinking, Will?
This is a Sam Adams Wicked Hazy New England IPA. That's the beer that I drink. I have one beer that I drink
that you're fond of.
Yes. Yeah. Usually every year or so, I find a new IPA and then I drink it for about a year and then I get sick of it and then I never want to have it again and I have to find something new. But that's what I do.
Gotcha. Anybody in here with us? If you're coming in here, give a shout out and say where you're from. Because I know we had people signed up for it, but I'm not seeing any comments.
New Jersey.
Matt's from New Jersey.
Jersey.
I'm going to hop over here to YouTube for a minute.
I have no idea how you do all that.
Yeah, me neither.
Beautiful.
All right. I see some people in. Oh, wait. Go to the live.
Baltimore represent.
You see a Baltimore in there?
Yeah. I see a Maryland.
Yeah, we got some people watching on YouTube. Tampa, Baltimore. Tim from Indiana. Joe, how you guys doing? All right, now we got some people coming in. Seattle. Hey, Luke. Come on in. Let's talk about pre-foreclosures. How's everybody doing? Everybody in here coming in, has any of you done any pre-foreclosures before? Pop something in the comments there if you have, or if you haven't. As I'm going to talk about, when I was telling Rick this earlier, when I originally got into wholesaling back in, probably 2010, 2011, I just blew by pre-foreclosures because I thought no equity. I'm looking for properties that have equity, paid off, free and clear, whatever. And I just blew by them, and probably a mistake, but I didn't know what to do with them. See, people in here. Nope, not yet. No. IP for REA all day. Right. Trying to figure out how exactly to approach them. Chris, yeah, I think we're going to cover that. We are going to cover it. So, yeah, I just, I looked at primarily, almost exclusively vacant properties with equity. That's what I was after. Right. And, but what I get as I've been in this longer and, you need to know a lot of different things to be able to pivot, right? If I'm doing, high equity vacant properties and the market changes like it has now, and there's not as many of those properties out there, right? I don't want my business to dry up. So I need to have the tools to pivot and do something else and still wholesale and still make money and do all the things that I want to do. So the people say that a lot, like, oh, the businesses, wholesaling's, going to die because, the market's down and you don't have as many people flipping. Right. But what a lot of people that weren't around in 2010 don't understand is that's when investors start buying because they're buying at a discount. They can get a good deal on a property, but they're buying to hold. They're not buying to flip. So there's always a different opportunity. So let's, how do you guys want to start here? Want to just go around and we'll introduce ourselves real quick. For those of you that don't know, I'm David Frizzell with the Wholesalers Toolbox. A lot of you are on my email list. I know Patrick Yapez sent out an email for us too, so some of you might be from his list. But the Wholesalers Toolbox, I just try to get wholesalers going up to speed in the real estate business, and that's my story. So, Matt, you wanna kick it off?
I could. Well,
Friendliest guy first, so we're going to go with Matt first.
yeah, let's go with this guy first. So I'm out in Jersey. My name is Matt Marinoff. I run a company called Real Estate Recovery Group, and I've been helping people that have been in distress with their properties now for almost 19 years, since 2005, and I love it. I'm trying to change the face of how people look at distressed real estate. I've been doing it property after property, was elbow to elbow, knee to knee, belly to belly, out there in the trenches talking to people and explaining to them what's going on. So I do loan modifications, I do settlements of mortgages, but primarily, my core business has been short sales. And I took my company nationwide in 2015 to work in other markets.
Nice. And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I believe you work with wholesalers all over the country that if they've got a short sale opportunity, that maybe they can connect with you and you guys can work with them on that. Correct?
Whatever's out there. I mean, we'll get into it later on, but you'll see why I ended up teaming up with.
I just want to know why. I want to put it out there why people should stay. Why they should wait, because these guys are going to tell you how they can help you make more money with short sales and with pre-foreclosures and all that stuff. So
yeah, turn your trash into cash.
There you go. All right. Okay. You want to go, Will?
Sure. I'm William Bonnell. I am from Boston, but I now live in Florida. I don't have the Boston accent because I made sure to go out of my way not to, because it was such a turnoff growing up around it. I have been in real estate, specifically pre-foreclosure real estate, since March of the year 2000. It's literally the only thing I've ever done for a living as an adult. I had some jobs as a kid, as a teenager, and I learned that those were not for me because I'm not really good at following orders from anybody else. So that's just not for me. I absolutely love this particular space. I love being able to help people and to add value. I love being able to meet people and improve their lives, because basically everybody that I do business with, their life sucked when I met them because they were in pre-foreclosure or, having their wages garnished by the IRS or whatever else, always some form of financial distress. And being able to get people into a better position is, it's a great feeling, really is. Being able to get paid for getting people into a better position. I mean, how the fuck could I possibly find something better than that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
all right, cool.
I love it.
Rick.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm the junior of the two, much younger than both of these guys. You can tell by my looks, But I got into real estate investing in 2016. Bought my first rental. So I was a high W-2 earner, right? Doing technical software sales, VP of sales, in a large, $900 million software company, and just really treated it as a hobby for a few years. And in 2020, that's when I decided, okay, I talk to people, I sell people, I do all that kind of good stuff. Why don't I just start doing the marketing and acquisitions direct? Why don't I just talk to the sellers direct? And met William in 2020, and it became pretty apparent to me pretty quickly that there are a couple of different ways you can go about doing acquisitions. And I was from a solution-based background in the technical software world. And what I came to learn pretty quickly starting in 2020 was that you can be solution-oriented and you can be more in a blue ocean, right, than a shark-infested red water by focusing on pre-foreclosures, right? The things that most people say they want to do but don't know how to do, so shy away from, right? And that's where 3 and a half years ago, my pre-foreclosure journey started. And teaming up with Matt and Will, right? So William and I obviously run IPA for REI together. He is the 23-year vet, but I'm a lot closer to those that have entered into our community, right? Because I'm only a few years ahead of them actually taking action and doing deals and that type of stuff. So I wholly pivoted my wholesaling, marketing, and acquisition business in the Kansas City market over to pre-foreclosure leads exclusively. That is the sole lead source that we go after. And that is also the premise behind the mastermind, is that you're going after pre-foreclosure forced sales. That's the only requirement for our mastermind is those are the deal types that you're learning about, and those are the deal types that you're going after. So
Right.
I hold some rental properties, I hold a few notes, that type of stuff, but wholly focused on providing solutions, especially with what's going on in the market and what's coming over the next 4 or 5 years. Real estate agents, real estate investors, wholesalers are struggling to find deals right now, as Matt and William and myself are getting busier and busier, and that's why we're here to talk.
Right. All right. So let's start back, what I was mentioning when we first started the call. Okay. For a new wholesaler, right? Because that's the biggest part of my audience. They're out there, they're talking about, doing all these weird things. Now they're doing sub 2 deals. They're doing novations. They're looking for free and clear properties that they can wholesale and all that, but it's hard for them, right? And as somebody Skip just mentioned, how saturated is this market? Because that's what they're dealing with right now. There's a lot of wholesalers doing a lot of different things out here. Inventory's dried up a little bit for us. So how with pre-foreclosures is that going to make a difference for us as wholesalers? What will that bring to us as far as opportunity?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would say, from my perspective, what we've seen starting with 2020 is in 2019, there were about 1.5 million households in pre-foreclosure, and they were gifted COVID, right? And the economy, the economic shutdown. Stop paying your rent, stop paying your mortgage, stop going to work. We're going to inject trillions of dollars into the economy, and nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Moratoriums lift in 22. Moratoriums are starting to come back a little bit here. That's your government being wishy-washy on everything, right? So over the next 4 to 6 years, we're going to face the repercussions of that. So where your traditional inventory for real estate agents and investors is down right now, we have just entered into a period of the pre-foreclosures ramping up. They were starting in 2019. They were paused. Here we are 3.5 years later, ready to kind of accelerate and take off. So this is a lead source and a lead type that is not drying up. This is going the opposite direction of what traditional wholesalers or real estate agents are looking at. So over the next 4 to 6 years, this is something you should be prepared to provide solutions for.
Right. And as we were talking earlier, Rick and I were talking earlier, credit card debt is way up. Mortgage rates are way up, right? Everybody on this call knows what the economy is like right now. They know what inflation is like right now. People are just getting by. Lots of people are just, what do they always say? Like, I forget what percentage, but a certain percentage of people are just one paycheck away from economic trouble, right? And that's where we're at now. And you don't want to be an ambulance chaser and prey on people having a hard time, but there are going to be foreclosures, right? There's going to be opportunity here, and somebody needs to step in and help people. So now is the time to look at this and be ready to start marketing for pre-foreclosures or looking at those leads. So, all right, you guys. So I'm going to let you guys take it a little bit and start explaining, the process and what you want to share with the audience here. So, who wants to take the reins here?
From my perspective, right? You talk about the ambulance chaser side of things, or that aspect. Well, that's I would ask Matt and William to both talk about the last 20 plus years, right? Because when you come in as a solution-oriented person who understands all of the different options that somebody has in a pre-foreclosure situation, you're not seen as the shark, right? You're not seen as the person that's beating up a little 80-year-old lady for $250 in equity, that type of stuff. You are coming in and providing all of those different options and putting people before profit. So I would ask you to kind of listen to Matt and William, about the last 20 plus years as to coming in and actually being the one guiding light the person that's coming in there and helping them with the solution, whether it means something for you or not. Matt is in the loss mitigation company at RRG, focused on helping, folks in pre-foreclosure. And then obviously by the name Short Sale Savage, he specializes in short sales. And William, having come in and understand how to help somebody in that credit crunch, the time when their credit is declining rapidly and moving through, a bad phase, a down phase of their life, right? So when you get in with the right empathy, the right understanding that you're providing solutions, Matt and William could probably give you a million stories as to how it's not ambulance chasing. You are the right and appropriate person that's trained with the solutions, how to come in and provide a guiding light.
Yeah,
to where people are still sending these guys, cards, Christmas cards.
I said that
like
it's
that.
because some wholesalers struggle with that, right? Because it's the same
perception.
It's the same
100%.
with probate, right? It's like, because you've got to handle it in a certain way, because somebody that had just lost a relative in probate, you don't want to go as I'll give you 50% of the value and all that, right? So this mindset with the wholesaler, they don't want to see themselves as an ambulance chaser. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. Absolutely. No, you're exactly right. Exactly right.
I would, I'll go first if you guys want.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Look, so, again, let's just be clear. William and Rick, they have one company. I have one company, but there's things that we're working on together, because there's certain things and aspects that they work on with people like wholesalers that normally I wouldn't. But I'm finding more people in trouble now, and wholesalers are reaching out to them, and it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. When I started in the industry in 2005, I was kind of like getting in at the time where, the tickler loans started to change. So where, the 1%ers, and then they started to go up in a step rate. And then, I ran a for sale by owner service for many years, and I ran with the national website, and we were destroying it with mortgage leads. But towards the end of that career, I was getting phone calls for women saying, "Hey, can you get here before my husband gets home?" And I was like, so strange. And then I was getting phone calls from men, and men are like, can you get here before my wife gets home? And I'm like, it's getting a little weird out there. Totally normal, not for me, but it is what it is. And what was happening is people were paying the difference of their credit cards, their mortgages, because their interest rates started to jump. So if they were like an $1,800 a month in a house, then all of a sudden, their rate jumped up for, an extra $1,000, $1,200 a month. And they're like, wait, hold on, what's going on here? This isn't what I signed up for. Trying to find those people that wrote those mortgages was kind of a little hard. They don't have cell phone service in prison. So what was happening is we were seeing more and more where people were starting to change with the times. And I kind of got out of the industry in 2004, switched gears in 2005, and started looking into people that were in distress, having a collection experience background. So it was strange. Let's fast forward into 2007, 2008. People are looking at me and saying, who the hell is Matt Marinoff? And what's a short sale? And why are you referencing people that are short? And I said, no, I'm talking about real estate transactions. People are going to need to short sell their house. So in Northern Jersey or New Jersey, people started recognizing the name Matt Marinoff. Fast forward again. After 2007, 2008, people were doing modifications. Now, they've already some of them already, defaulted already 4 or 5 years already at that point, maybe 4 years. That was the first round. Then they went into another modification, or it was the next round of modifications. People are still astonished today. They're still in their houses after 8, 9 years, 10 years, 12 years, not paying their mortgage. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Now let's fast forward going into 2023. Short sales are never going to be the same, because if people were behind in their mortgage before, caught up, behind in their mortgage again, caught up. Now they're in their mortgage. COVID destroyed people that were in properties just now. I'm getting leads from people 2 years ago. It's already a short sale. It's crazy because they overpay for the property. Very similar smell, taste that's in the air. But here's why 2023 totally different. A lot of these people have already had opportunities. They might have did a deferment. They'd already might have done a forbearance. They might have already done 2 loan modifications. So you're going and you're talking to people now as a wholesaler even. And as a wholesaler, you're saying, hey, there's got to be equity in this thing. But what if there's no equity? And doing that and dealing with people like that in that type of situation, that's where Rick, Will, and I, we all come in with our own specialties and why it really made sense to team up together and go into the next I'm going to say maybe 5-6 years of people that are going to be in distress. Interest rates are high. Property values are still high. You're still dealing with believe it or not, the garbage from the early 2000s. Then you're dealing with the other stuff from the late 2000s. Now you're dealing with stuff from even the later, 2000s. When does it end? It never ends. And that's why people have to understand everything comes out that's cyclical. In 2019, that should have been the next time where we should have had more and more foreclosures. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We are well overdue. So I want to sit back and I want to pass the torch over to William.
Let me just add to that real quick. When, as a wholesaler, you're doing your marketing and people are calling you, hey, do you want to sell your house? And somebody calls you, or when somebody would call me and say, hey, I've got this house, and I would start asking my questions and I'd say, do you own the house free and clear? Do you have a mortgage on it? If somebody would have told me that, there was no equity, they did a modification or whatever happened, I would say, what, it's not what I buy, right? It's not something that I would be interested in. Maybe you should call a realtor, and I would be done with that. So for those of you on the call, those of you watching this, that's not the strategy anymore, right? There's something that you could potentially do with that. So
absolutely.
Let me just add one more thing, and then everybody else could chime in again. I've been working with somebody for about a year or so. They were late for a very short period of time, about 10 years ago, on their first mortgage. Caught up, did a bankruptcy. They claim, now whether it's true or not, they had a second mortgage. They filed bankruptcy. They wiped out the second mortgage in the bankruptcy. Shocked, whatever, disbelief. Now they're getting notices of foreclosure from the second mortgage. It was never stripped off the property. The attorney will not get on the phone call with them. The paralegal is kind of short with them on the phone. They Googled the attorney. These aren't the first people that it had happened to. But this could be potentially a situation where a wholesaler could have gotten involved because property prices have already risen. They're right now 2 months late on their first. They're 10 years, 10 on the second mortgage, and there's still over $100,000 in equity in the house. So there's ways to manipulate and move through these things. You just have to understand how to do it and how to really recognize which way, what direction you're going to go in, and be happy with whatever you get out of it. Because sometimes you'll be a score, be a home run, and sometimes it'll be like a finder's fee. Something's better than nothing.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Who's up? Will?
I very much
William.
very much agree with that. I've I got to say, first and foremost, Matt and I connected on social media probably a decade ago or so, something like that, roughly a decade ago, right? There's not a lot of short sale people out there. When it comes to real estate investing, real estate practice in general, short sales are not the thing that most people want to do. You know what I mean? If you don't enjoy getting into arguments, short sales are not a lot of fun, because that's actually pretty much what is done, as most of what is done. One of the biggest reasons that we're all collaborating, and I think Matt would very much agree with me in saying this, in having done this now for 23 going on 24 years, one thing that I always noticed is no matter how many of us there are, and by us, I mean investors, realtors, brokers, attorneys, and all other solution providers combined, community resources, government resources, private sector resources, Catholic charities, all kinds of shit like that, right? When you take it and you add it all up, at the end of the day, still in my career, in the time I've been doing this, more than half of the people that fall into pre-foreclosure ultimately end up getting foreclosed on. That has been the case consistently since 2000 right through right now. So if you get 1,000 people a month in a certain county, in a certain state that are falling into pre-foreclosure, more than 500 of those are ultimately losing the battle with pre-foreclosure. The biggest reason for that is, as a nation, we don't have the greatest financial education. It's a pretty well-known thing. I mean, we had 350 million people in this country, and there's a tiny little handful of them, known as the 1%, that are really actually making enough money to get by and live well, especially during conditions like right now. Well, when we don't have the greatest financial education, we also don't necessarily have understanding of things like foreclosure. Any given person you can talk to understands you don't make the payments on your car, eventually a repo man's going to show up and take it. You don't make the payments on your house, eventually you're not going to own it anymore. But to get more specific than that and have a more specific understanding of exactly how that process works and what rights and options a person has when they find themselves in that situation, that's a very small percentage of the American population. I'll tell you right now, which a lot of people don't know, and Matt will definitely agree with me on this. The vast majority of realtors have no idea what to do with a pre-foreclosure situation. And by vast majority, I mean 95% plus. I don't mean like 52%. Okay. I'm talking more than 9 out of every 10 realtors have absolutely no clue what to do when somebody's in pre-foreclosure, especially if they're really deep in the mud.
I would venture to say, and I think you mentioned this, but realtors don't have any idea and homeowners don't have any idea. I think when homeowner gets in that situation, what they want to do is just stick their head in the sand. They don't want to answer the phone anymore. They don't want to open the big fat envelopes coming to them in the mail, right? They just want to, if I do this, it'll go away, right?
I'm going to add one more group to that, though, and this is the group that's going to shock you a little bit. The last group of people who really don't have a clue what the hell's going on with pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, any other distressed forced sales situation, right? Attorneys.
Bingo.
The vast majority of attorneys in this country have no clue. And I'm gonna go even further than that. We're gonna go even further than that. Even including bankruptcy attorneys who specifically specialize in bankruptcy, which is obviously a law designed very, 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 very niche law, specifically for financial distress. Even bankruptcy attorneys, the vast majority of them, do not have detailed understanding of pre-foreclosure and what options a person actually has. Reason being, they only do so much of it. Most attorneys are doing a whole bunch of different types of business. They might be doing bankruptcies on Tuesday and divorces on Wednesday.
Yeah.
People like me and Matt, the only thing we do day in and day out, I'm not going to say all I do is short sales, but what I will say is all I do is save people from losing their home to some institution or another. It might be a bank. It might be the IRS. It might be the code enforcement from your county or city. It might be state taxes, any given one of these things. But when people find themselves in financial distress and whether or not they own their home is now becoming questionable and they're on the verge of losing it, let me put this out there for you real quick. The biggest group of people, the single most dominant group of people, and there are two that I see very, very frequently that are painful to deal with. The biggest group of people that I've personally experienced falling behind on their homes, falling behind on their mortgages and their other financial responsibilities is the elderly. Because as we get older, our capacity to generate income is reduced naturally. over the course of time. Cells degenerate, whatever you want to call it, the aging process. Most of us are not stronger at 80 than we were at 20, generally speaking. I'm sure there are a few exceptions to that, but few. So the elderly are the number one population affected by it. Those happen to be my favorite people on earth. Anybody over 72 years of age, I automatically love them unconditionally. However, the other group, and this is something that's really big in the United States, especially when we compare it to the United States a century ago, is going to be broken families. So when I'm seeing either elderly people who are no longer capable of taking care of themselves, despite the fact that at some point in time they were remarkably talented at taking care of themselves in many cases, or the polar opposite of the spectrum, which would be children. You got a broken home, you got a single mom who can't afford the house. I'm not going to say I don't care about her or her counterpart, the father. I'm not going to say I don't care about them, but I will say this. I care about the children, the innocent children that live in that house 100 times more. And very oftentimes I've been dealing with a broken family where one parent is renting an apartment, the other, or a house or whatever, they're renting. The other parent still owns the marital home, the family home. They're behind on rent in the apartment and on the mortgage at the same damn time. Both parents are under massive financial stress. And guess who pays all of the price for that? The children. So at the end of the day, the saddest part about financial distress is that it affects the weakest among our population disproportionately. Those who actually need the most help. For that reason alone, I was always drawn to working on these particular leads because I knew that I could always bring value to the table. You know what I mean? And that's really what it boils down to is I'm a problem solver by nature. And, just being who I am and how I am, nothing excites me more than some form of a confrontation, whether it's verbal, physical, or whatever the hell else. So I might as well use that skill to try to improve the circumstances of other human beings, right? Rather than just land myself in a penitentiary.
So if a wholesale, somebody's on here
Mm-hmm.
and they're watching this and they're like, I'm wholesaling. I'm trying to get my business to grow. I want to get involved in pre-foreclosures and kind of either partner with you guys on it or get in there. What would their process be? How do you get involved in this business other than just going on, one of the, data sources and pulling a pre-foreclosure list and start sending them letters saying, I want to buy your house, to get the, response and go, oh, there's not any equity. I can't do anything with it. Right. What should somebody learn, or what avenues can they take to get into this and be successful at it?
One thing I'm going to do at this point, I think it would be a wise idea, just in the interest of keeping things really simple. When I'm looking at my screen, I'm in the top right-hand corner. Rick's directly below me. I know everybody's screen view is probably different. And then Matt is directly next to Rick. So what I would say is this: moving forward with questions, I'm going to hand this one off to Rick and then to Matt and see where we're at so that I don't start dominating the call. I have a tendency to talk too damn much.
Okay. Rick.
So talking about somebody getting into it.
Yes.
Right. That's where you really want to go. And I think having heard Matt's story and William's story, right, 20 plus years ago, was kind of just brute force. There was nobody there guiding them. It was just a matter of getting in there, rolling up your sleeves and doing it. Right. I have the ability to come into, a few years of real estate investing and holding some properties and that type of stuff. But moving into the marketing and acquisition world, the wholesaling world in 2020, and quickly learning that I want to do, value add stuff, that I want to be able to provide solutions and have somebody on the other side of the phone be on the same team that I'm on. Right. We're working together. So there is the ability to recognize right away when I am marketing to leads. It doesn't matter who I market to. If I'm using the spray and pray method and I'm just blasting 10,000 people with cold call, if I am doing PPC specific for pre-foreclosure, if I am door knocking, there are a lot of different ways of acquiring leads. Now, if you're not going after a specific niche list, you never know what you're going to get on the other side, right? So it becomes hey, here's how I'm going to do dispo on this. But if you are targeting pre-foreclosure forced sale situations like we are, right, then you know that there are a few solutions, right? You know that you can, somebody can reinstate, or they can refinance, or they can do a loan modification, they can pay the loan off, they can file a bankruptcy. There's a lot of different things. At IPA for REI, we focus on 3 acquisition techniques. We focus on helping the homeowner, if the situation is right based on our income producing activities. That's what IPA stands for. We stay in our lane, and if we can solve their problem and we get to what they really need versus what they want, it can be a subject to acquisition, it can be a lease option, or it can be a short sale where we are the buyer, right? That's how we're doing it from an investor standpoint. So if you want to be able to get into it, don't trash those leads. That's typically where Matt or William or myself are saying, don't throw those leads away just because you look at it and you don't know what the heck to do with it. You can bring it to RRG, or you can bring it to IPA for REI, and we can partner with you, and we can basically show you how to turn that trash into treasures, right? We can get rid of second, third, fourth, fifth positions. We can make deals make sense by negotiating with banks and institutions the right way. Right. We talked about it earlier, David, right? If I'm negotiating with the little old lady that's owned her house for the last 40 years and she hasn't done any updating or anything to it, she is going to fight you tooth for nail for every bit of equity that she can get out of it, right? You are negotiating with her literally in $250 increments. That's not a lot of fun, especially when she submitted 5 Facebook forms and now you're competing against 5 other wholesalers. Now it's like, hey, I'm just one of 5 offers. If that comes across my desk and my lead management team hears it today, it literally is, hey, thanks, we all use the same formula. If you're not open to some type of down payment and payment over time, call me when the other 4 fail. Like, we don't even waste our time talking to them because we're going to be solution focused. So Matt and William are the masters of master networking. They're the master of referral. Tell everybody in your circle, in your sphere, what you do, what you focus on, how you can fix it. I have realtors now calling me in the Kansas City market every day with deals that are falling apart at the closing table because they didn't know something was present in the deal, and now they need a solution. The other way is, and the other way that we recommend, is not chasing notice of the auctions, right, when an auction date is there, because now you're within the last couple of weeks, the last month or so, and
Right.
you are saying how high when somebody says jump. What we do outside of the 6-week compounding routine is what we call it. Anybody that is listening in, they can get the 6-week compounding routine from you, David. You can send that out. That gives them the ability to go out there and be that master networker with everybody in the market that they're working, build their team around them, and all of a sudden just get all of these referral deals coming in. The other list that we teach to go after is that notice of default, notice of substitute trustee, notice of list pendants, right? As soon as that first legal action is taken against the borrower, that is earlier enough in the process that you're going to have a handful of folks that are going to be very proactive, want to take care of something immediately, but you're in earlier enough to where you can get in and you can stop the process and come up with a pre-foreclosure sale. Or B, that is somebody who is burying their head in the sand, but you are now communicating with them on a regular marketing interval. That's who you want to work with, because if you get in early enough with them with true empathy, true solution, true, like, I'm here to help you and provide all of these different options, they're not going to talk with anybody else. Plus, it creates a lifestyle for you that you want, because now I'm the authorized third party. I'm the one negotiating with the banks and the institutions, and nobody can come in and steal that deal from me because they're not authorized on it.
Right.
Right. And if I can't get to it today, I can get to it tomorrow. So it creates a specific lifestyle for you that you aren't running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to get something done, because you are now working with the banks and the institutions. And I'm not negotiating with the little old lady for $250, at a time, trying to grab some equity to make the deal make sense. I'm negotiating with banks and institutions to the tunes of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. You don't think a deal works for most wholesalers, but the moment you start actually working directly with the institution, and you can take a valuation, from $200,000+ down to sub $150,000. Like we talked about one earlier where we knocked, just by our negotiating techniques, we knocked $128,000 off the valuation. You don't think you can create a deal from knocking $128,000 off evaluation. So it's understanding how to do that type of stuff that allows you to come in and take that lead source, be very hyper focused on that lead source, whether it's referral or the notice of default, and work through a sustainable business in any market or any career. Having support of companies like RRG or IPA for REI is an advantage in today's market that didn't exist back in 2000 or 2005. We can help you from a JV standpoint, or you can join on into our communities, and we can guide you through all of these tricky situations, because it's not just short sale for IPA for REI. It's subject to, it's lease option, and truly understanding the 8 options for somebody in pre-foreclosure.
Right. All right. So to be clear for everybody, there's 2 pathways. People that are out and find these deals, they find, pre-foreclosure deals, they can just refer them to you. They can say, hey, here's a deal. I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to spend the time learning what to do with it. So I'd rather just give you the lead. You guys run with it. And if you make a deal out of it, you'll give me a referral fee or a JV fee or whatever. Or if you have people that really want to learn this business, you'll train them to understand all the facets of pre-foreclosure.
That's right.
Correct?
Exactly right. Yep. Yeah, and it's pretty generous. It's not even a referral fee from our standpoint. I mean, if you're bringing a deal that is a real viable deal, it's a 50-50 JV with IPA.
And that's pretty nice, considering you guys are doing all of the bank negotiations, right? That's all right.
Right.
So, and honestly, I would have loved to have that when I was out hardcore wholesaling in Detroit back in, 2012, because I could have just fed deals to somebody back then. But I just, it's not my bag, and I throw it away. So, all right, I want to drop a couple links here. So I've got the IPA for REI coaching. If somebody wants to actually hop into the coaching and learn how to do this, right? And become an expert in this. So can somebody kind of talk about what's in your coaching program and the cost of it?
Yeah, are we still going around the Brady Bunch?
Yeah,
circle,
it could be Matt.
It
could be Matt, or however you guys want to do it.
So I mean, we're talking about 2 different things. We've got RRG, which is a loss mitigation company based out of New Jersey that does deals nationwide. You've got IPA for REI, which is William and I coming together, knowing what's coming in the market, right? 2 different.
Right.
The REI stands for real estate investing, income producing activities for real estate investors. However, 40% of our community base is licensed realtors and brokers, right? So we already have the gamut of those who are looking to pivot for what's going on in the market, how to take advantage of the lead source that is going to become very prominent over the next couple of years. So on our website, right, IPA for REI, it basically takes you through options of doing consulting or JV or, the community, the mastermind, all of those different programs. That is one thing. So if you wanted to just submit a deal into us, it could literally just come into us as a straight JV. If you wanted to join the IPA for REI mastermind or the coaching program, it was very important to William and I, as we were talking about this way back in the beginning of 2022, what it would look like, is we didn't want it to be one of these $50,000+ masterminds that were really tough to get into, but we also needed some skin in the game. And how are we going to make that more accessible to others? And it's really focused around, right, that actual, annual fee. It's an annual fee, or it can be broken down into a monthly. If you pay the annual, it's literally 2 months for free. But where the real deals meet the road is people can JV with us. We will roll up our sleeve and actually work deals with our members, right? And that's what we're talking about in the material. That's what we're talking about on our biweekly calls, or actually we do 2 calls a week, I should say. We're reviewing real deals and talking through real subject to lease option and short sale options. So to be a member of the community, the current price, is on the website. We kept it extremely low to make the barrier to entry to get in. We've added a ton of value over the last 12 months. So actually, it's sometime in Q1, we're going to actually raise the rates, because we've added value with the national website, with CRM, and a number of other things that we're doing for our members. And then if you are a member and you submit a deal, then it just becomes an 80-20 split, 80% to the member, 20% to us. So that's where we're really, going to start to see a little bit of volume, and we don't have to charge $50,000 to be part of a community that is taking action is key, period. And then Matt on his side, and I'll let him speak for RRG, right? It's loss mitigation across the country, and he takes in referrals. So he's got his loss mitigation company. We've got the coaching mastermind, but we're coming together under the brand of Pre-For-Profit. So we're doing our first, brought to you by IPA for REI and RRG, in St. Petersburg, Florida, at the Carroll Hotel at the end of February. We're doing a live in-person 2.5-day event all about how to build a sustainable business in any market or any economy, where we will focus on how to source these pre-foreclosures, how to work these pre-foreclosures, and how to do exit strategies like subject to, lease option, and short sales. So that's why you're seeing the three of us on the screen together. Is Matt focuses and does a hell of a job on short sales, as his name indicates, the short sale savage, right? He works a lot in the retail space, whereas William and I tend to refer those retail short sales off to Matt. We focus on more of the investor short sales, things that have, a condition that would need a substantial discount for somebody to buy. And we negotiate as if we are the buyer. Matt is negotiating for an end buyer in that situation.
I just dropped the link for the Pre-For-Profits event down here in February. And I will be there with these guys. So if you want to come down and learn about, pre-foreclosures and hang out and enjoy some nice February weather in St. Petersburg, we'd all be glad to have you down. So,
yeah, well, that's it. The first event, we plan to do 2 to 3 next year, starting in Florida, but we will go around the country so that it's more accessible to agents and investors around the country that are looking to pivot their business and focus on a need that is really severely underserved, right? So the first one just happens to be the end of February, but we're kicking around some ideas for more west of the Midwest. I'm in Kansas City, so it's going to be west of me, probably down somewhere in Texas or Arizona.
We're going to go to Thailand.
Thailand, yeah. That's it. We'll go somewhere cool.
So Matt, what talk about RRG for a minute?
Listen, Real Estate Recovery Group was something that I dreamed up. I was with a group of other people, and I seemed to have failing business relationships because people were going in different directions. So Real Estate Recovery Group ended up being like basically my calling sign, which is the RRG. Although I tell people go to MatthewMaronoff.com, which is on the screen, because that has all my social information on there. You could follow me anywhere you want. I have a private group specifically set up to give free education, because what I found is when someone watches something one time, they only retain 7% of it. So they almost have to see the same stuff over and over again. So, when Will and I started talking about doing an event, he's like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, no, I'm serious. He goes, no, I'm serious. And then he's like, let me bring Rick in on the call. And we started talking, and it just made sense because, look, if anybody, listen, you don't have to go to the event. I'm not going to tell you what to do. 1, it's a write-off. 2, you can get away from your spouse for a couple of days, right?
Is that on the brochure?
I had you at number 2, right? And obviously, I've been told I'm kind of a funny guy, but it's a write-off. Why would you not want to take advantage of education and write it off as an experience and really walk away with tremendous education? What I'm offering, and there's a video on there's a 90-day challenge. If somebody was to bring a short sale to my company, this is a Rick and Will say, but this is me saying, like, if you bring me a short sale and I worked it, I'm literally giving you the cost of the ticket back for coming to the event. Guys, we can't do this event for free. We're not for-profit, but we want to educate as many people as possible. The information that we're going to be giving is what's happening and what's working now, not what's working 5 years ago, what's working now. We even asked Dan Zatowski to come in from the Passive Wealth Academy to come in the day before and educate people for 2 hours. We might go over a little bit and talk about 5 exit strategies of actually, notes and understanding that type of world. So financing is going to be harder and harder. And if you have a way where, what happens if wholesaling went away? What happens if you couldn't do wholesaling anymore? What if Rick and William decided one day, you know what, we're going to retire, we're done. Everybody has to look for different strategies to move forward in the real estate economy that we're in right now. And what's going to happen is, I see real estate agents saying, I'm done. And these are people who've been in the industry 10, 15 years. They don't want to deal with real estate anymore.
Yeah.
Because of what's happening with that, with buyers and people like that. So what's scary in all that is you're trying to explain to people, you got to educate yourself. I had a guy reach out to me and he says, but if I come to the event, God help me, if I come to the event and I go back home 2.5 days later and I take advantage of the VIP ticket and everything like that, and Rick's already laughed because he already heard the story. If I go home from the event, I'll be able, it's like, like basically open up a box, business in a box and move forward, right? No. But you'll be so much more educated. You're going to walk away with all the notes, everything that we're going to supply you with, everything you need to do, be successful. Here's the problem. I can't guarantee, I don't know what your ability is. I don't know if you're going to be an A student or if you're going to be an F student. I was a D student in school. I thought D was for diploma. But at the end of the day, it's because I was bored in school, right? But I excelled outside. So everybody's different. You have to be in your own environment. And there's a lot of people. Anybody go to college? Raise your hand. You go to college? Rick, I know you went to college. William, you didn't go to college. Dave, did you go to college?
No, sir.
So there's people that go to college. Do you go in and before you give the check to the people admissions, I'm going to give you this check. Or can you guarantee me if I give you this check that when I graduate college, I'm going to get a job? I don't want to say it was a stupid thing for this guy to say because I don't like the word stupid, but I don't think he was thinking clearly when he said it. The investment is minimal. You're going to learn, but it's really up to you to take the information I give you, the tools, and educate yourself. Go to that website, preforprofits.com, watch the video content, look at the information that's in there. If you can't make it, that's fine. It's not for everybody. We're not looking, and I'm not speaking for Rick and for Will, and I'm not looking for Dave. I'm not looking for people to show up that are novice. I only want people there that are serious about figuring out how to help somebody out of a bad situation, put them in a better situation. Sometimes people need either a financial enema, which people don't want to hear me say, but it's true, or they need a financial restart. They gotta
Yeah,
they gotta reset.
It's not for everybody, right? It's for people that are serious about doing, unless you just want to come to Florida and hang out, right? Which would be fun. But it's for people that are serious. If you're just looking for somebody to connect with, right, to help you with deals, then you can connect with these guys and and pass leads on to them. They'll work the deals and JV it with you. I'm going to bump this back to Rick for a second. Ken's asking what the 6-week compounding routine is. Can you explain that?
Yeah, for sure. Right. The 6-week compounding routine. That is like a foundational pillar of the IPA for REI community. But it basically takes you through a routine that you should be doing over 6 weeks period, and it compounds. Right. The first week, you are literally just making one phone call a day to somebody that can help you in the niche that you're working. So I could be calling a bankruptcy attorney. I could be calling a broker. I could be calling any number of professionals and telling them who I am and what I do, right? And then the very next week it is do those same 5 calls. Literally, what is it, a 10, 15-minute call once a day, 5 times the next week? But then I'm adding a secondary thing to it, and that might be write 5 offers. Right. And then the third week, I am doing those first 2 weeks, but then I'm adding a third thing, which could be whatever it may be, right? There, you'll find it out in the 6-week compounding routine, but it allows you to become the master networker. Everybody in your sphere, like going to events and having coffee with people and calling professionals that work on and have access to. Think about it. Real estate agents are talking real estate all day long. And how do you think Matt and William can build hugely sustainable business with very low marketing costs? Because they're in my market, I've got a massive turnkey company that I was talking to back in January of 2022 that I told them what I was doing. And guess what? They said, hey, we're starting to see more pre-foreclosures. We're starting to see more short sale. We're starting to see things that we can't do anything with. Can we send them to you? I've got a major outfit out of the St. Louis area that is now sending me. They've sent me 3 deals in the last 2 weeks, right? If you tell everybody what you do and you become that solution expert, the deals are going to come to you because you can turn them into something, right? So I think that's the big thing, is getting out there and letting everybody know what you do. Matt is a master
with
referral networker.
With that said, right? Chicago T asked in the chat there, interested in learning the business. I have a friend just recently started working with, and we'd like to send you some leads. They're in New Jersey. Where do you want them to send? To Matt. To Matt or to IPA?
Matt's right there in New Jersey. I would have to say, based on that information alone, I would say send it to Matt. That would be my guy. If Matt decides it's not for him and says, this particular, lead isn't a me thing and whatever, then we could do that. But I mean,
that was also the other beauty of teaming up with Rick and Will, because for me, there's certain things I really don't want to get involved in. It's not my area of expertise. Whereas, what's that?
Likewise.
Yeah.
So for everybody on here, between the 3 of these guys, they'll find a solution for what you said, or do their darndest. But Chicago T, I've got Matt's Cardfly bio there. Go there and connect with Matt, and give him your contact information and send the leads over.
Yeah. And then if you want to hit us up, it's just info@IPA for REI. You can see any of that information on RRG's website or our website. I think the key for everybody to understand that, in 2006, 7, 8, when people were running from the business, we were just talking about people running from the business. William was a licensed agent, licensed broker for many, many years. And when people were running away, he was running towards. Right, he was going towards. And what really solidified the solution aspect of just working these type of leads, not only with what we're coming into, but the whole being able to provide a solution and be able to lay your head down at the end of the night and feel good about what you're doing, is the stories that you hear. Like in 2010, taking in 85 files a month and being at the closing table twice a day, every single week. So people were running and leaving, investors were leaving and fire selling and selling things. But if you just pivot and you understand how to handle this, then you're going to be that one that is at the closing table multiple times a day or multiple times a week, because you can provide those solutions. And we are gearing up for it. I mean, David, you mentioned just a few key statistics, but more than 3 million households nationwide are more than 30 days behind as we speak right now. Consumer debt, credit card debt, over 3 million are more than 30 days behind. They hit that 90-day mark. What happens, right? What happens?
As of last month, there is 3 million people right now going 30 days going forward that are delinquent. The clock starts now. I actually just dropped in the comment section my short sale one-on-one group. So get as much education as you guys can. You got to answer the questions to get in.
If anybody's got any questions, throw them in the chat there. If you got any pre-foreclosure or short sale questions, pop them in the chat.
Bankruptcies are the highest they've been in 2023 since 2010, right? We all know what was happening in 2010. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Utility shutoffs are the highest they've ever been in this country's history. I mean, when you start hearing what's going on, it's a different picture than what the media is. Obviously, we're in this and we're talking to service providers, we're talking to servicers, we're talking to loss mitigation, we're talking to credit departments. We are hearing firsthand from the actual source, which is different than what obviously the media wants to portray to 350 million people. So
Yeah.
it is ramping up.
Yeah, they're propping it up. That's for sure, right? Because like you said, COVID happened, the moratorium on foreclosures, they keep doing things to make it seem like the economy's doing okay, and it's not doing okay, guys. We're primed for some ugly stuff to happen.
I want to interrupt. This is 2019, and Will and I both have a person that we're both connected with, Matt DeRocha, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Was at my event in 2019. Then I had Lee Perlman from New Jersey, both bankruptcy attorneys. And they both confirmed with me. Massachusetts was a little bit less, but New Jersey in 2019, 7 to 8 of the filings that were filed in that time frame were filed incorrectly for bankruptcies. That means 70 to 80% of the bankruptcies that were filed were incorrect. Do you think those bankruptcy attorneys were following up on those filings? I love when bankruptcy attorneys just want to, I don't want to go off on a rant. I'm going to sound like Will over here, but I don't go off on a rant. Bankruptcy attorneys are some of the worst criminals out there. Now, we work with people that are not the criminals out there. If you don't fall in the criteria of doing a bankruptcy, then you shouldn't do it. If the house is just a house and, I want to save my house. The thing is, what if you can't save your house? And you can't save your house, and you shouldn't save your house, and you really should move on to the next phase. Guys, we all know people that are landlords. I know people right now. I'm just going to say, if you got fucked up credit and then you take it one step further and you fuck yourself and you file bankruptcy because you think you're saving your house, the landlord who's going to look at you as a tenant is going to say, nope. Or they're going to say, I need 3 to 12 months up front for me to accept you as a tenant. Where these people getting the money? Not everybody has the money. And if I talk with 10 people, I don't think you see my fingers, 10 fingers represent 10 people. Out of 10 that I'll talk to that want to save their house, only really 2 or 3 of them are able to sell their house. So if you're a hybrid, which is a real estate agent and an investor, and you're coming across these transactions, don't look at it as, oh my God, you're trying to help them save their house. If somebody knows what their options are and they have a clear path of, wow, I really am fucked, they move on. But if they don't have that clarity, guess what? It ain't happening. Between the 3 of us, we can qualify somebody probably within 24 to 48 hours to find out, yes or no, can they stay in their house? Going and filing a bankruptcy is bullshit if you don't need it. That's my personal opinion.
And we'll take that. We'll take your opinion because you know a lot about it.
Unfortunately.
Well, I hope something that kind of came across. I mean, obviously a draw to William and Matt and their knowledge and even my personality is like, we're just real. Like, we're shirt off the back type of people. We're not some big guru, out there, touting this stuff from the highest of ivory towers. We're rolling up our sleeves and we're hands on. And that's what's going to carry through to all of the pre-for-profit events. That's going to carry through to everything that we're helping anybody in any circle that needs help with, but more importantly for the borrowers in distress, right? Provide that solution and provide that guiding light and provide that help. You won't find more real than a group like this.
And that's why I wanted to have you guys on, honestly, because, if you want to, join the mastermind and you get into IPA for REI for that, that's great, right? If you just want help with deals that you don't think you can do anything with, just connect with these guys, right? That's the point I wanted to get across. Rick, we talked earlier about, me, starting the community next year, and I'm going to have a community just for, for my audience and for the, Wholesalers Toolbox people. But, I want to have guys like you in there for everybody when they come across a deal like this. And we talked about doing a monthly call where we just do training on foreclosures, and people can get in there and ask questions, but we'll have a place in the community where guys, when they come across the deal, or ladies come across the deal, they can connect with you, JV, on it and do it. And if they want to take it further, get training, and do all that, so be it.
Beautiful. Right. Yeah, we're happy to do it. And as Matt indicated, you can't sleep on a book or spend 2 days learning it and figure it all out, right? I mean, we can do a monthly call on doing subject twos correctly, right? And doing lease options and doing short sales. So I mean, it's a learning experience, but if you immerse yourself in it and you work with shirt off your back type folks, right, you're going to really be able to pivot and turn the next 4 to 6 years into something very lucrative for you and your business. You get to remain a real estate professional when others are leaving
or scramble
the industry.
Right. I've experienced that, because when I was, back in, 2009, 2010, I was a mortgage broker, and I just, I'm like, this is done. I got to go. This is where I got into investment properties, because I wasn't going to write a mortgage for anybody for a while. Right.
Dave, I want to ask you a question, because you're asking us questions. I want to ask you a question.
Do it.
Why did you agree to be one of our VIP attendees at the event that we're hosting in February? What grabbed your attention to, coming there and being a part of that?
The reason I agreed to come and wanted to come to the VIP event is for the reason I just said. I like to connect with authentic people. I'm invited to a lot of these, guru mastermind stuff and all that. And I don't have any interest in doing that. Right. I don't, I want to build for my community, a group of people that they can work with and they can afford to work with, and it's beneficial for everybody. Right. So I think those are the kind of people I want to surround myself with. And when you guys are doing the event down here, 2 things. One, it's something that I believed in and I wanted to come to. 2, it was really close, and it's not going to cost me much to go do it. Right. Because it's like I can drive there and
you're on it.
It wasn't in California, and I thought, yeah, I can make it.
That's beautiful.
So what you're saying is you're not going to make it to our West Coast events.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count on it.
You wouldn't go to Thailand?
Probably not. Hawaii, maybe, but
Dave,
Thailand, no.
You're dead to me, Dave.
All right, guys. So anyway, I hope, the people who are on the call, they got something out of it. At minimum, I hope they understand that if they come across a pre-foreclosure short sale opportunity, not to ignore it, to get in touch with you guys and let's, and make something out of it. Right. Have a beer with Will. Have an IPA with Will, right?
Over here.
Hopefully, people can make it.
Okay, so we get asked that question all the time, right? Where does IPA for REI come from? And the back in 2020, at the very first mastermind, we were part of a different mastermind, William and I, and we were at a brewery, and everybody was sitting around William talking. I just happened to be walking by the table with a beer in my hand, and William turns around and looks at me, and he's like, "What kind of beer is that?" And I said, IPA. And he looks up at me and goes, "You like good beer?" And that's all he said to me that night. So needless to say, in 2020, 2021, we bonded over a bunch of IPAs because we've got a very refined palate. We like the right kind of beer. And as we started kind of getting into how do we want to work together and what do we want to do, I just started throwing acronyms on meeting invites and stuff like that. Well, William said something to me on one of the short sales that I was working. He said, you tell the realtor to do whatever the realtor's got to do. If they got to do it as a pocket listing, if they got to do it as a private listing, if they have to put it on the MLS, whatever they got to do, that's their business, not yours. Quit telling them to ask you about that. You activities. And I just paused for a second. I was like, you call them IPAs? Well, that's what I called it in the software sales world. I told my sales team day in and day out, focus on the IPAs, let other people focus on all the other noise. You need to focus on the $10,000 an hour job, not the $10 an hour job. So as we were just kind of working through what it would be, and by the logo, you can tell we're paying homage to the beer, but it is also literally about income producing activities for real estate investors and agents, because 40% of our members are licensed. That's how that name came across. Now, there's a bunch of other acronyms that we put out there that our members just have to figure out what they mean, because some of them just shouldn't be said on TV.
Like BFFI.
Yeah, exactly. Don't say that. Oh man.
Well, I'm glad it didn't turn out to be like Miller Lite for REI or something like that. You got something
thank
better.
God.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Thank God. We got to be
We
more
have very
tasteful than that,
refined
you know?
palates.
There you go.
Right, GFY.
All right, guys, let's, I think we don't have any more questions in there, so let's wrap it for the evening. But again, everybody grab the links in there. You got Matt in there. You've got the pre-foreclosure link in there if you want to come down in February. And then we've got the IPA for REI link if you want to hop over to that website and check it out. You guys got anything in closing?
Been a great call. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm always grateful whenever I show up anywhere with Rick and Matt. Phenomenal guys. Everything we're working on is it matters. You know what I mean? It matters, and it's going to matter more and more as we go. So
It matters.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening to be here. Okay, and when we get the community going, we'll do this every month.
absolutely, brother. Looking
Okay.
forward to
Good.
it.
All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks everybody for being here. Talk to you soon.
Peace.